really excited to be here with little cowboy.
Thank you. Yeah. I have my little cowboy hat and I was like, can I wear that like on the tour?
Yes, absolutely. We're expecting it. So, May, I mean, thank you so much for taking the time. I know probably this is the last thing you want to be doing and probably just be like focusing on the show. But
Yeah.
how are you feeling ahead of the show? Let's start with that.
I'm very excited. I have to stop saying I'm nervous because then that's what I'm manifesting. So
Right.
I'm really, really excited and I've been practicing like crazy and it's a totally different beast than a stand-up show. Like there's so much, I mean, gear to begin with.
Yeah, I really want to get into to the music, and we'll dig deep into like the difference of like going from comedy into music for sure. But just to kind of like get us in the mood here, and maybe break the ice a little bit. I know you really like escape rooms.
Yeah. You see how as you said that, I became so alert. I sat straight in my chair, like
Yeah.
ready to go.
Focus is on. Okay, so imagine this, May.
Uh-huh.
You're in a room. There is a guitar with a broken string.
Ooh, okay.
There's a cage that's holding a bear that's sleeping.
Oh,
A black bear.
okay, yeah. I'm delighted by this.
Okay. There's a sound of a cuckoo clock, but there's no cuckoo clock in sight. And we've got a locked filing cabinet. I am curious to know what your first move is.
Okay, so the bear is asleep, and like, let me just recap. Bear is asleep in the cage. There's a cuckoo clock, and
Sound.
okay, crucial, and then a guitar with a broken string. Whew. Okay, my first move is I'm gonna take off this broken string, and I'm going to wake up the bear. I'm gonna like tickle its nose with the broken string. Um, it's in a cage, so I'm safe. I want to see what the bear has to offer. And then yeah, and maybe the second step would be I would like the sound of the cuckoo clock, I would try to kind of start jamming along to it on the broken guitar. Like I would try to
I
wait,
love it.
what's the correct answer?
There is no
There is
correct
no-
answer.
no,
Just
yeah.
wanted to get you
God,
focused, okay, May?
I absolutely loved that.
Okay, great. Okay, let's talk about music. So, I mean, I can imagine there's kind of this different vulnerability when it comes to now expressing yourself through music. So, how has it been, taking that step and being public about your music now?
Yeah, it's been really nerve-wracking, but I think if I had known that I was going to release this album, I wouldn't have recorded it because I just made it with my friends, and I thought maybe I would like put a song out on Instagram or something like that. But yeah, so it meant that I was really uninhibited in making it and took my time with it. And so yeah, I'm glad that I didn't like have a window of time where it was like I've got to make an album and then release it with a label. I think that would have been really too overwhelming. So I'm glad that I did it this way. And yeah, it does feel vulnerable, but it's also I don't know, music is so subjective that I'm kind of at peace with like not everyone's gonna like it. And yeah, I know there's music that is objectively amazing that I don't listen to that I'm like, yeah, that's for someone. So I feel relaxed about it. I'm proud of the album, but I know I've got so much to learn. It's like a totally new discipline. So yeah.
I've actually never heard anybody say that, but that's really interesting. Of all the people I've interviewed, saying that if you knew it was going to be released, you may not have recorded it. That's because there's no pressure, right? And so that's probably going to make it a better album. But now it's going to come out and more than likely be successful, and then you're going to have that pressure for the next one.
Well, yeah, that's a good point if it's successful.
Yeah.
But I've been writing a lot in the past few months. So I already have like half like a bunch of songs for if there is a second album. And
Perfect.
I think that's always the way you always like the stuff you wrote most recently, right? So same with comedy. Like your most recent joke is always your favorite.
And you were talking about making this with your friends, and we know and love the Darcys here on our radio station, and we also know and love Half Moon Run, which I know you're a fan of as well. So how did your connection to these Canadian artists come to be?
It's so nice. I feel like all the cliches about Canadians are kind of true. It's like we're nice, and it's been great connecting with these people I'm fans of, like Leaf Volbeck and Half Moon Run, and who have been so supportive and kind of encouraging when I nervously expressed like, yeah, this desire to do it. And then Jason and Wes, I've known for years, in the Darcys. Jason and I went to camp together, summer camp. And so when I moved to LA, I didn't really know many comedians, but I ended up knowing a bunch of Canadian musicians. So we got together and they've been great. Yeah, and letting me at my own pace kind of discover things and figure out what my voice is and stuff. Yeah.
I want to talk about comedy for a minute, if you don't mind, May, because I've been a stand-up comic myself for about 20, like late 90s I started, so way too long. You've talked about this before in interviews, but maybe for some of our listeners don't know the history. You started very young. Apparently you were taken to a comedy club when you were, what, like 11, 12 years old? Was it Yuck Yucks in Toronto?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it just immediate love at first sight of comedy for you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really think it was. I mean, and it must have been even before that because I was taken there because I was like begging to go. So I
Okay.
must have I don't my parents loved comedy and would listen to like Steve Martin vinyls and George Carlin and a lot of British comedy because my dad. So yeah, I always just loved it. And I don't think it's to do with some kind of gaping wound inside. I
Right?
think it's like
Like everybody else that does comedy, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's partly that, but it's also, I think, a genuine love of the medium. Like I'm a real fan, and I still am, and I still go see comedy on my nights off, and like I just love it.
You did some
But
writing for the Baron Vaughn sketch show, right?
yeah,
Back in the day?
Baroness won't
Yeah.
sketch show. I
Yeah.
did, yeah.
That was such a funny show. I don't have any questions attached to that. I just wanted to say that. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, I was when I was about 13, I was just a mega fan of Carolyn Taylor, and I used to go to Second City and wait at the stage door and get her to sign my like scrapbook and stuff, and then
Wow.
we've become really good friends. So it's been nice. We've been in each other's projects, like Baroness Von Sketch Show,
Yeah.
and I Have Nothing, and then she's in my new show coming out. Carolyn pops up, so we're kind of woven into each other's cinematic universes.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Now, do you ever go back to Second City and just like make pop-up performances or anything like that?
No, I haven't. They actually just messaged and said when I'm in town, do I want to do the improv set with the cast, which I haven't. I did that when I was 13 for like a news article about teens who love comedy,
Mhm.
and I haven't been back since. So, or I haven't performed there since I was about 16. I got banned from the building for 2 years when I was
What?
16. For a while, I couldn't go back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please tell us
Well,
about
we
this
gotta know. We
ban.
have to
You
know
can't just
why.
like
Yeah.
leave us like.
Oh, I was just partying too much. I was just a troubled teen and I
Yeah.
was hanging out there all the time. I was working in the box office and I had dropped out of high school. And finally, after years, someone was like, wait a second, get this kid out of here.
So let's talk about your Toronto show because you're coming to Canada for your show. How's it going to feel, being in a city that you've spent so much time in now doing music?
Oh man, it'll be really fun. I'm looking forward to that show the most. And I've got to come to Vancouver as well next time. This is just a little mini tour, really condensed, but it's always great in Toronto because I get like my old camp counselors or people I went to school with, like elementary school, like people pop up from the past and it's super nice. And I'll definitely go out afterwards. And I just have to unlearn the muscle memory of like telling jokes on stage. Like I'm wanting
Yeah.
to fill every silence and kind of because I think music is all about tension and emotional tension. And it's really tempting to want to dispel that tension with the punchlines.
You have an advantage though, because a lot of musicians are terrified to speak at all, other than just through their music. Now you've got both skills. So if there's, that awkward pause between songs, you've got experience, improving or doing crowd work or whatever. So
That's
you'll be
true.
golden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if there's a major tech mess up or
Right. You
something,
got
I
to kill
can
5 minutes or something. Yeah, exactly.
You've been mentioning camp a lot. So what camp did you go to? What kind of camp was this?
I know I'm one of those losers. I went to Camp Candelore for 9 summers and I loved it. It was very formative. And looking back, I was really an outcast at camp, but I didn't know that at the time. Like I hung out with a lot of the camp counselors. I think it was important to me because there was this one camp counselor called Dave Armstrong, and he was maybe 18 and maybe I was 14 or something. And he was doing stand up and he told me, he was like, you're really funny and you should take like comedy classes. And he let me write the camp play with him. And And it was it was the first time that like someone I admired said that. So I would every summer I'd bring up all these costumes and do the camp play, and yeah. So it's very full circle to be touring with Jason, who was like the cool kid at camp. He was like the guy on his acoustic guitar playing Ben Harper and Tragically Hip, and we would sit by the campfire and all the girls were like obsessed with him, and I was pining in the corner.
Oh,
That's so sweet. Yeah.
that's amazing. I mean, yeah, totally a full circle moment now going and performing and working so closely with them. Like that must feel pretty special. Mae, thank you so much for taking the time, especially on the morning/afternoon of your first show. So congratulations on taking the step into music and making it public. It's so exciting to see, and thank you again.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope you like the album. It's it's out tomorrow. I can't believe
we get
it.
a huge response from the first single from our listeners right
Mm-hmm.
now. So yeah.
Yeah, Good Dream is sounding so good
So good.
on the station.
Thanks,
too.
guys.